So thanks for coming on. It's great to get to talk to you. We'll get into all the brand and everything else later on. But anytime I have anyone on from Australia, I always want to talk about coffee first because I think there's certain things in life are just unfair, and I think the amount of good coffee that's in Australia is one of those things. For the rest of the world are like, oh yeah, that's fine. You just have amazing coffee and like petrol stations and whatever else, and we have like really niche shops that have it. Is it Brisbane you're based in?
Yeah. I'm in Daisy Hill and Logan. So it's
Okay.
between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So our office in Logan, but yeah, we have an amazing coffee shop, St. Coco, actually just around the corner from my house. So I actually buy their coffee bean as well. So yeah, I normally make a coffee about 5 a.m. in the morning, and I use their bean as well. So we're very lucky with coffee. Yeah, I was just in America recently for the CrossFit Games, and yeah, the coffee's different compared to
Yeah.
Australia. I don't know why we're so lucky in Australia there with coffee, but and then we actually have a cafe, like pop up coffee van that's permanently at our office as well. So
Oh,
on the
that's
way
fun.
you get into the office, you can get a coffee in the morning. So yeah, we're very
Geez,
spoiled with
you're
that.
you're nicely buzzed by the time you sit down. So between home and then outside your door. So you have a coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning. What time do you get up at?
I normally get up lately. I've been getting up at 4 a.m.
Why?
And then yeah, I like to get up early and start the day. I mean, coming from being I used to be a carpenter, so I used to be a tradesman. I'm
Okay.
used to getting up early, but yeah, I like to get up early. I kind of get up and then make a coffee and then stretch, and I'll listen to a book or read a book and kind of just try to learn in the morning. And then lately, I've been training at about 5:30. So whether I'm running, because I recently did a marathon, or training in the gym. I mean, today was different. Today I ran 10K this morning, and then we had a lunchtime session at the office at our gym upstairs. So I got to train twice today, which is good. It doesn't happen very often, but Tuesday, Thursday, I can normally get a double session in. So, yeah, so I
Um,
start my day pretty early, actually.
have you got kids?
Yeah, two young kids.
What
Yeah.
age are they?
So a 4 year old and a 1.5. So
Oh, okay.
it's I'm in the thick of it. So that's why I try to get up early. Unless they've had a rough night's sleep, then I may not be up at 4. But yeah, I try to, 6 hours is enough. Yeah, and then I come home and you can spend time with the kids before heading to the office. So, but I try to get up before they are up, because then I can't, read a book
Yeah.
and learn.
Is it a girl and a boy? Have you a mix or have you two boys or what?
Yeah, boy is Hendrix, and then a little girl, Freya. So
Oh, Freya. Freya's a nice name. There's nothing wrong
yeah.
with Hendrix, but just we were actually talking about the name Freya yesterday. That's why I zoned in on that one. Um,
It's not a very common name, actually. We heard it when we were away on holidays a couple of years ago. I'm like, that's a beautiful name. And then,
yeah,
so that's how we got
Freya.
naming her.
I think is it like Scandinavian or like Celtic or something? I think I'm not sure. I can't
No
remember.
idea. I
Is
have no,
Hendrix
I,
after like is Hendrix after like Jimmy or is it
it
separate?
actually is it. I don't know where my wife and she had a bunch of names, my wife, Ali, and I actually don't. I mean, when he was born, I was like, yeah, we had a couple of names. I can't remember the other one, but when he was born, I'm like, yeah, he's Hendrix.
Yeah,
But it actually didn't come from Jimi Hendrix, so I don't know where it came from. We just like the name. I think it was
yeah.
kind of unique. We just like, he feels like a Hendrix.
Yeah, I'm annoyed at myself for asking that because you're never right when you say, "Oh, is it after such and such?" And it's always like, "No." And like
Yeah,
we
it's always like
had,
something random. I can't remember, to be honest. My
yeah,
wife had a
my
list, and then we were looking through, and she kind of was. Yeah, she was a lot more organized than me in that.
yeah, we had
Because
so we had a boy like just coming up. He'd be a year old like next week, and
oh, congrats! How's sleep?
um yeah, like it was really shit for a long time, and then we uh we actually decided to sleep train him. So like we have a 2 year old, like a 2.5 year old. So I think for like the first couple of months, you're just getting through it. You're just like, oh, just whatever works to like for everyone to try and sleep. But then I think after that, we were so afraid of her waking up that we just ruined him. So like my wife was like sleeping at a 45-degree angle, like just like he was sleeping on her. It was like, oh, he won't sleep in the cot, so I guess he'll just sleep on me. And it was like whatever it took to keep Sloan asleep, because if she woke up, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
And then eventually we just kind of said like, look, this isn't like sustainable. We need to actually sleep train him. Like he needs to be able to fall asleep himself. He needs to have his own room. So
that's
yeah,
all.
we prepped her by being like, now like Bodhi's gonna be upset tonight, but he's just learning how to sleep. And she was totally fine with it. Like she never complained or anything, which is great. So it was going really well. And then they both got so Sloan got croup. Have you got croup? Do you call it croup? It's like an upper respiratory.
Yeah, we get croup. Yeah,
Yeah. So
my daughter
she,
gets sick every 2 weeks at the moment, so we get a little break and then it's back on again. So
yeah,
we're winter
we
right now,
we've
so
we've
season's
been
on.
really lucky. Like that. So neither of them have out. No, neither of them have ever been to the GP for like, or to the doctor for like, oh, I'm sick. It's been like, oh, they've got a weird thing on their hand, or like that kind of stuff.
That's good.
So she was sick, but she had to go to A&E because her temperature was like crazy, and they put her on steroids and stuff. And then we came home, and then I said to my wife, "Well, I suppose the only good thing is it's not infectious." And she was like, "Oh no, it is infectious." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then, like naturally enough, 2 days later, Bodhi gets sick, and it's just like, "Oh fuck." Thankfully, they
Runs
didn't
through my
cross over
blood.
too much. So there's only a little crossover, which is good. And she's been asleep. It's coming up on 7:30 in the morning here, and she's been asleep since 5:30 yes evening. So she's like hopefully on the mend. But yeah, with his name, so we called him Bodhi, and straight away after people heard his name, I got loads of messages or loads of people saying like, "Oh, after Point Break," and it's like I don't get it. I don't get the reference. They're like Bodhi and Point Break, and I'm like, I've never seen Point Break. So we
Me
watched
neither.
Point Break, and there is a guy called Bodhi in it. But he's like the bad guy, and I was like, "Why would you name your kid after the bad guy in a film?" Like, I was like, it'd just be weird. But yeah, it's what's your man's name? Patrick Swayze, isn't it? Yeah, it's his character. It was a good movie actually.
Good now.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's like early Keanu Reeves, so it's a bit overacted. It's a bit
Old
like everyone
school.
just
Yeah.
needs to calm down a little bit. Like it's just there's a lot of like shouting, and it's just kind of like just tone it in a little bit. Like, um, yeah. So you've a 1.5-year-old, and you ran a marathon recently. How long were you training for the marathon?
Oh, I mean, I did an unofficial last year in July. So the GC marathon happens around July 3rd every year. And I was preparing for it last year. And the first goal was a 3 hour 30. And they actually canceled it a week out with COVID. So we actually still ran that unofficial last year. And I actually got 3 hours 29, which I was stoked. And then this year was like, okay, cool. Let's see if we can get like, closer to 3 hours. And then I set the goal for 3 hours 10. So I started training for it maybe February, March, leading into July, but kind of up my kilometers. Like the month of June, I ran 250 kilometers just before it. And the month before that was about 230 kilometers. And then just did like long run Sundays and a bunch of kind of like speed sessions and slower runs. Kind of 80% of the training was slower. But yeah, it was cool. I ended up finishing it at 3 hours 7:19. So
Wow.
it was an experience, to be honest, because a few of the boys that I ran with, they all went out about 15 seconds quicker than me. And I decided to stay with a 3 hour 10 pacer. And I actually met a guy on the run that I hadn't seen in a long time, and he'd run under a 3 hour like 8 years before that. So I ended up and realizing his trainer's like an ex-pro athlete that's done like 2 hour 10. And I'm like, I'm sticking with you, bro. I'm like, my heart rate's rolling hot at the start of the run. And the other boys, like 4 of them went off hot, like 15 seconds a quicker. And at the 16K, the 24K, the 28K, and like the 39K, I ended up passing them all because we all trained together, but we trained at a certain pace.
Yeah.
And that 32K mark and that 38K mark wall is real. So it was a real eye opener. I had to take a salt tablet with like 2Ks to go because I nearly cramped. And I could
Wow.
see it was like bodies all over the road. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like I can see why people just drop,
Yeah.
42K mark, they didn't even make it. So yeah, it was an experience. It's almost like an emotional run on a marathon because there's so many different things that happen. It was weird. And yeah, it was fun. And now I'm back training in the gym because I want to go under 3 next year, but I want to keep training in the gym and doing both. So, and then I'm doing a cycle leg of the Noosa triathlon coming up. So I'm trying to get some cycling in as well. Just
That's
try to do a
good.
bit of everything.
And are they the only 2 marathons you've ran?
Yeah, I've done like some halves. I've probably done
Okay.
maybe a bike halves if I was doing training. I used to do like say 32 to 36K on a Sunday. But I've done a couple of like one half race. Yeah. It was a lot of running, man. It was, lucky you had a cool crew to run with. And one of the guys here, head of content, Matt Kirby, he did the marathon as well. So we got to train together a lot. So we're kind of talking about the brand and, you're running for like 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours on a Sunday morning. My wife was happy when I was finished because,
I
Sunday
bet,
morning without the kids helping.
Yeah, I wanted to run a half marathon this year, and I don't run. I fucking abhor running. I can't stand it. But I actually got to, like, as I was training for it, I was like, oh, it's actually like it's okay. Like at the start, like the way you're saying the guys run out too hot. Like I only have one pace. Like it's just like whether I'm running 600 meters, 400 meters, or 10K, it's like just go, and then I don't even think. And I've heard like Hinshaw talk about like, oh, you need to be breathing out on this step, and I'm like, what? How can you possibly think about that when you're running? It's just like don't stop is all that's going through my head. But yeah, I got injured. No, I got injured. So I was supposed to do a half marathon on St. Patrick's Day, and I got COVID like 2 days before. No, I would have been cleared to run it. So the day that the half marathon was on was like, oh, I'm okay to re-enter society or whatever. But I got like bronchitis, like just towards the end, so I couldn't breathe. I was fucked. And then I was like, okay, I'll ramp back up. I'll do running over the summer because that'd be nice. Because it's summer here, obviously. And then I had like a knot in my groin, and I was like, oh, it's really sore. Like, and like when I think back about it now, so I was at Strength and Depth, and I was using like a massage gun. There was like an athlete area, and I had like a coach's wristband, so I got in there. And I got a massage gun, and I was like pummeling my groin with the massage gun, and I was like, oh my god, it's such a it's so it's painful, but I feel like it's relief pain. And then I like looked up and locked eyes with like Jamie Simmons, who was also in there, and she was just like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, it turned out, so I was like, this doesn't, like, it's starting to not feel like a knot, like it's starting to not feel like it's being helped. So I was talking to a physio, and he was like, oh yeah, it sounds like it might be your hip, like, that it's causing it, like it's just causing tightness, whatever. So he was like, it could be a hernia though, like the way that you're describing it sounds like it could be a hernia, but if you think it's a knot, it could be coming from your hip. So I went and got an ultrasound, and I got a CT scan. My father-in-law is a radiologist, so he just kind of brought me in the back door. No hernia on either. So then this physio was like, it really sounds like you're describing a hernia. Like everything you're describing is hernia. Was like, there's nothing coming up. So got an MRI, and sure enough, there is a hernia. So what I was doing at Strength and Depth was pummeling a hernia with a massage gun. So I was actually massage gunning my intestines, being like, oh, this is sore, but I feel like it might pay off in the long run.
No. Oh, that's wild. That's wild. You're lucky to,
insane. So it actually, to be honest, I think, yeah, well, I think it was kind of latent. I think it was just kind of like about to happen for a lot of the time, because I remember sneezing coming home from work one day, and I almost crashed the fucking car. I was like, that was the worst pain I've ever felt. So I feel like that must have been like just the hernia just going like, hello, like popping his head out or whatever.
Running is a journey. I think, like, I did my first half in 2019 and have slowly, but like in between, done other events. I got to do my first full Olympic try at the start of the year, and during COVID did like a bit of a powerlifting set. Like I kind of just do a bit of everything yeah, I've kind of slowly tried to keep consistent with running. But it's a journey. I had ITB issues at the start and had to learn to stretch my hip flexors and quads. And, if I
think it's because it's something that you just go like, you kind of have it in your head that you can just pull on your shoes and go. Whereas if you're doing like back squats, you'd be like, oh, I better stretch, I better warm up or whatever. Whereas it's like running, it's like, oh, I'll just warm up in the first kilometer, or I'll just take it easy, whatever. And you just like
your hips got to fall off.
Yeah, everything just gets sore and tight, and you just end up like shriveling down.
Yeah, I was running this lady, and I'm talking to her. We're about 14 kilometers in, and I'm like, oh, we just started chatting on the run. And she's like, oh yeah, I do Ironmans. And I'm like, oh, that's wild. It takes 9-10 hour days. She's like, marathons are harder. And I was like, you're kidding? She's like, yeah, you can it's all about the long distance of it. It's, you're non-stop on a marathon, and the pace is obviously a lot quicker. And then I saw her at the end of the run, and she's getting stretchered off. I'm like, oh my God, it was an experience. So she got stretchered off. I think she blew out her ankle. But yeah, she's telling me that, and I'm on my first marathon race going, oh, thanks, it's 13 Ks in or whatever. And you're telling me it's harder than an Ironman. I'm like, this is great for the mindset.
No, it is. It's
very
monotonous.
humbling.
I think you need to be a certain kind of person, I think, or you need to have a certain kind of mentality. And I suppose it's something I found that at the start, I just hated it so much. And I think the stretch ahead of me, like every time I set off running, so it was getting longer and longer. Like I started off running like 3K and then like longer and longer each week. And I was doing it's loose calling it a speed session because I'm not quick, but I was doing like a speed session on the weekends and stuff. And I remember being on like say the 3K run, and all I could think about was the 12K, like in like whatever 4 weeks or whatever. All I could think about was like, oh fuck, if this feels like this, what's the 10K going to feel? Or I'd be running 10K, and then I'd be like, oh geez, if this feels like this, what's the 75-minute run next week going to feel like? And that was all I could think about. But then the further in you get, the less that happens, and the more like I think you build up your mindset at the same time as getting your running legs going.
Yeah, I think running is one of the most brutal sports with that, because every K is hard. And no matter what you're like, now I've finished a marathon, I've only been doing 10K, but if I had to go do 15K tomorrow, it'll be hard because I'm back into it just running a 10K, like 4 times a week. And, just trying to stay fit. Running is it's such a mental game, running. I mean, I don't run by myself much.
It's so easy to stop. It's so easy to like, it's the easiest thing in the world to just like stand still. Like it's so like everything else.
Like you can just like coast down a hill, where running is like, no, keep moving.
But even if you're cycling, you physically have to stop and get off it takes effort to stop and get off the bike. Or like if you're doing CrossFit or something, you have to like let go of the bar and walk. Like whereas if it's like running, you can literally just stop running, or you can just run slower. And then it's the thing as well where the slower you run, the longer it's going to last. So it's like, even if I slow down a little bit, I'm just prolonging my agony. Like I just need to keep going. I listened to you on a couple of podcasts. You did one recently enough, and oh my god, I can't remember the name of it. It was a female presenter. Say again?
Georgie Stevenson.
Yeah. So I listened to you on that, and I was curious. Like I've seen some clips. You have a couple of clips on your Instagram and stuff from other shows that you've done of like, the reels with the words coming up on the screen and stuff. And like when you're asked to do a podcast, so obviously, like LSKD is like, it's like an inspiring story. Like when you know the whole story, it's kind of like, wow, that's actually really cool. And then you're like the CEO, so you're like, you founded it, you're the CEO, you do interviews. Is there like do you feel a pressure to be like inspiring, or a pressure to be like, oh, I need to get a soundbite out, or is there a pressure to be like, oh shit, I better say something good that like resonates with people, or people think I'm shit, like, or people think that I don't know what I'm talking about?
I've actually never thought of it like that. Do you know what's funny on those sound bites? I never go back and watch them. Like I actually don't go back and listen to the podcast. I'm like, if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. But yeah, you know what's funny? I mean, I think over the journey, I'm 35 now, and I think, I started really getting into books and learning when I was 30. So it wasn't that long ago. And I think like someone said to me on the weekend, it's like this thing called, imposter syndrome. And I don't know. What's been interesting is when we transitioned to LSKD in 2018 and really tried to find what our why was and, what I was passionate about doing, I just kind of went, you know what, I'm just going to be me. Like, I don't need to, like, it's me. Like, if, I'm just going to be authentic. I'm going to, share the story to the team. Like, we're going to rebuild this brand with a purpose of a set of mission. It was a mission first before the values were created, but what's our, like, why do I come to work every day? And when we started and the team, we had about a team of 12 when we were rebuilding it, kind of from transition from LK to LSKD. I just kind of made this decision that I wanted to be authentic. But I think when you first start out doing an interview, you feel like you have to be like, really inspiring or do this. And I'm like, you know what, like, I'm just going to be me. Like, I don't really kind of not so much care, but if I'm authentic, it's real. And how I am at home to how I am at the office to how I am in an interview, that's me. And, you know, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, you know, I'm learning on the journey. Like, and if something good comes of it, you know, that's amazing in terms of great sound bites. But I think what I'm learning now is I love to talk. I talk probably way too much. And to be honest, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to, you know, lots of podcasts. I listen to lots of books, and, you know, I want to learn. So I'm like, well, you know, I'm very lucky to be a part of this journey and the growth our brand's on and the team. So hopefully I can give value to the community that's listening, because I wanted to get that. I love getting value when I'm listening. So I do hope I can give value in that perspective, because, you know, I've got so much value from my learnings. How do I pass it on? But yeah, I don't really think of it like that. I think, you know, we're really passionate about sharing the story, because it is wild to think that it's, you know, I was a teenager when the nickname came about, you know, when the word Loose Kid came about as a high school nickname, riding BMX, you know, I was the kid that would give everything a go and just wanted to be, you know, really wanted to be good at something, and then wanted to be a pro motocross athlete. It was this genuine story that we, you know, all the things we did to lead up into creating what LSKD is today is a reflection of not only not so much my childhood, but there's so many other people that align to the mission and values in the community that, you know, that feel in the same way, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know. It's a great question. I've never thought about it like that, to be honest. Because I don't normally go back and listen to them. I do ask the team a lot to like give me feedback. So after I made your podcast, or, you know, I was lucky enough to do a speech on Sunday in front of around 250 people, and a couple of the team came along, and I asked them to give me feedback, because I do want to improve, because I did go to Toastmasters for 2 years to learn how to public speak, and kind of had this feeling maybe one day if the brand did grow, I would have this opportunity to do this more. So, you know, but I do spend a lot of time in the office with the team working. You know, to me, it's like do as much as I can with the team to learn and grow and grow on what we're working on. So I do this, but I'm also really focused on the inside of the brand so much more probably than doing this side of things as well. But then just finding that balance, I suppose.
So you mentioned there that I suppose this all started when you were like whatever 13, 14. And then you also mentioned motocross. That's basically like they're like scrambler bikes, basically, is it?
Yeah, sort of motocross was like kind of, I raced or by the time I finished racing, I was racing an RMZ 250 and 450. So it's like motocross and supercross. So
okay.
Do you know they have like a series in America, the AMA Supercross, and we used to sponsor a lot of athletes then. And it's funny, I know a lot of athletes that used to race that have now gone on to doing CrossFit or marathons. So they've found like, you know, a friend of mine I used to race with has now got a franchise called Fit Stop with like close to 100 locations. So, which is a functional fitness location franchise. So, but yeah, it's kind of motocross bikes. So I think maybe they call them scramblers.
It's basically like it's like a mud track with like, you know, like
yeah, it's kind of like a motocross track where it might take like 3 minutes to do a lap around the track. Okay. And we would do, say, like a 20-minute to 30-minute race. So you'd have like 40 bikes on the line, the gate would drop, and 40 bikes are trying to get to this tiny turn. I used to get run over by bikes every now and then and broken quite a few bones over the years, lots.
What did you like about it? Was it like the adrenaline, or was it that kind of panic?
Yeah, like it's an adrenaline rush. Like you're going like, you know, you can be traveling like 70, 80 kilometers an hour down a straight, you know, like really fast into a turn, and you're racing someone. So there could be 3 of you battling together for one turn, and then you're going over jumps, and you're doing this for like 20 minutes straight. And in a motocross race, like they call them braking bumps. So you can get a lot of like, you know, you got suspension, but the bumps are that brutal that all of a sudden your arms pump up, and they call it arm pump. So you can't hang on to the handlebars. Your heart rate's rolling at max, and you're trying to race for 20 minutes and still hang on to the handlebars and the throttle. And it can be brutal. But yeah, it's the adrenaline. I mean, it's fun. I loved it. I did it for 10 plus years and loved it. And I had a lot of friends that travel, you know, all over the world for racing. And I never made it to that level, but yeah, it was fun. And I had a lot of sponsors. I was really lucky to get a lot of sponsors, and that really I learned a lot from those days to what we do today as well, and how to look after sponsors and give them value and, really work with them because, I was a apprentice carpenter on $240 a week trying to race dirt bikes. And it's an expensive sport. So, but the adrenaline rush, and I think that's why I do marathons and like do different events, whether it's a triathlon, a marathon. I really wanted to do the Turf Games, but we opened our store in Melbourne that weekend. But, doing events and things like that, kind of, it challenges the mind. It pushes boundaries, like you're putting yourself in that kind of hurt locker, which was kind of like motocross days. But yeah, I broke a lot of bones in motocross and had a lot of injuries and friends in wheelchairs, and doing marathons and different sports is a little bit safer, but it puts you through that kind of hurt locker as well that maybe I just enjoy.
Well, ask that woman that was carried off on a stretcher with her ankle if it's safer or not. She might disagree. So you said you're an apprentice carpenter. So you actually put up a reel went up. You've 2 pages. So you've like LSKD and then you have LSKD HQ. I think it was on the HQ one that it was like our teenage dirt bike years, and it was like it must be funny looking back at that.
To be honest, I had no idea they were doing that, the team. And I saw that yesterday because I was in Sydney for the day, and they found all these photos of me and made that reel. I was like, oh my God, what did they do?
But like I've seen, so like I follow like Vakey, and like I'm like friends with Brandon Swan, and like I've seen like clips of, or even like on Mike's stories, sometimes he'll have something up of like HQ, and like, so I've seen people put up pictures of a gym and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool gym, and then I'd be like, no, that must be in the place, like, you're trying to figure out like where stuff is through snippets, and like, so you've got like a ridiculously good gym, then you've got like this cool like office space or whatever, you've got like a brand that's like, it's gone global. The sponsored athletes and stuff, and you've got athletes in America, you've got athletes like just all over the place, and you've got like brand recognition now kind of like just seeping out into general consciousness, I suppose, and you've like bridged the gap between these different sports where you've got, like you mentioned that you were working with motocross athletes, now you've got CrossFit athletes, and you've got like like functional fitness people, and you've got like just a range of different people. And then when you see that and how like, what would you call it, like how boutique it is, I guess, and how like how clean like the gym is and stuff, and how clean the office is, and then you see this like pop-up tent like with like t-shirts on hangers and stuff from like when you started, like it's crazy how far it's come.
And to be honest, yesterday was cool to see, because I mean, I don't share probably enough of that stuff, that how grassroots we started as a brand. We used to sell at the motorbike tracks, and some of those photos that was me when I was like 15 racing bikes, one of those photos on that reel, and I was sponsored by a beer company called Nasta Zero. That's why I think of the shirt I was wearing in that reel. But yeah, it is cool to see how far we've come, and this is, and funny enough, this is actually all before social media. We were setting up at events, we were selling, we had some shirts that we sell at the events, and really didn't realize that's what kind of creating a community was back then, even pre-social media days. So I was kind of lucky to experience all that, and we do a lot of grassroots events, and we're going to Waterpalooza, which I'm so excited about, and the focus on really making sure we're in the community as well as online is a really important thing for us. And yeah, it's interesting when you say that about, how we've kind of with different our athletes and disciplines. And that was where kind of the mission came about, to inspire people to chase the vibe through sport, fitness, and adventure. And knowing that, an athlete still loves doing other things, and how we're not just, we don't just tie to one thing, but functional fitness and, kind of sport, fitness, and adventure is really our thing. And we create sportswear with a street aesthetic. And our goal to create some, the best fabrics in the world for the everyday athlete is really important to us. And I was really lucky. I got to travel to places like China, back in 2011, and build relationships with manufacturers over the last 10 years and learn how to develop product. And it's been this journey of like learning and understanding all the processes behind the scenes, and almost getting to work in every role in the brand over the past, say 10 to 15 years. has really kind of helped to where we got to today with this, we're at this new office. And when we designed the office, it made it a lot easier to design it because we went back to the mission and values of what we wanted to achieve for the community. And when we started designing this, we actually started designing this office in September 2020. It just took a little bit longer to build, and we had to move our warehouse a few times because we kept running out of space. So it was pretty touch and go last year to move into this new fulfillment center in November last.
Where is your office? Because I think if the story I heard is true, it's a pretty cool story. Where is your office
Now?
Yeah, isn't it in like the middle of a track or where the track was or something?
Oh, so our office, I used to ride dirt bikes where we are now, actually on this land, which was not intentional, but I grew up around the corner from here in Logan. So I went to school around the corner from where our office is. And we actually had the opportunity to move our office here and build a place. So it was a custom design and construct building. And when with the opportunity to move back to Logan, it kind of was cool because we could be like, hey, this is where we're from. Like the brand started and originated here. And then obviously the land, I was like, wow, I rode dirt bikes on this land when I was a kid. This is crazy. It was kind of like almost felt like fate that it was like, wow, This is kind of it's almost storytelling, but unintentional storytelling that, while we're here. And then when we started designing it, we were like, hey, we want to, let's put a retail store in because, we can greet our community. And we actually have gyms coming all the time. So our gym on a Saturday is booked up till December for Saturday morning workouts. So we actually get local like CrossFit boxes to functional fitness gyms to F45s come in and use our space on a Saturday, which allows to give their members that experience. Yeah. And they can come in and shop our store. We have the coffee shop. And we really wanted to create this experience for the community, but also give gym owners and trainers that experience for their members. And if you talk about retention for them, it gives them that experience to be able to come to LSKD and train in a gym and go somewhere they've never gone before. That's, we're not open to it's not a membership gym. It was a real why behind what we did. And then the store started going really well. And we're like, wow, okay, we didn't expect it to do as well as what it was going to do, which has allowed us to now go, okay, well, we're going to open another store. So we actually opened a new store in October in Chadstone, which is the biggest shopping center in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're actually right next to Nike, so it's pretty cool. Khan's actually coming to the opening, so I'm pretty excited he's able to make it to the opening. We're doing something pretty funny with him, actually. It's going to be exciting. I can't tell you yet, but it's going to be cool.
You can tell me if you want. That's fine.
I hope he's going to do it first, but we're going to ask him. But yeah, it's going to be cool.
I'm sure he'll do it. He's like very keen to do whatever's going, I think. So you opened a store in Melbourne as well. Did you say that?
Yeah. So our store opening in Melbourne and Chadstone. We actually have an Instagram account.
Oh, that's the same one.
So that's our HQ. So LSKD.HQ is kind of like is our HQ, but we have a store there as well, and it just gives a little bit about it. We share behind the scenes here, and then our new store is in Chadstone. So it's LSKD.Chadstone.
And is that Instagram. And Chadstone is in Melbourne, is it?
It's in Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, right. Yeah. I'm showing my geographical ignorance to Australia.
So it's about from our office to Melbourne, it's about I would say a 3-hour flight. Australia's quite small in the scheme of things. But
have you ever been to Ireland? Ireland's quite small.
Haven't yet.
I can drive. So I can drive from the top of Ireland to the bottom of Ireland would take about like 5 hours to drive.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, when I say that to people from like Texas or whatever, they're like, "What the fuck? What's wrong with your country?" So yeah, Australians are probably even more shocking.
We're really big. It's quite small, but yeah. So it's actually like another state. It's super exciting. Like
and was that intentional? Was it intentional to like? Why did you pick there? Why not like why not like Sydney, or why did you pick Melbourne, and why did you pick a shopping center? And I'm kind of curious about, because I know I've heard you talk about how when you were starting out, you were like going around to shops yourself and being like, oh, can I sell my stuff here? Do you want to take my stuff and sell it or whatever? So I'm just curious as to what it is about, because obviously, say the HQ is standalone. It's on its own. There's no, like, if someone's coming there, they're coming there to go there. They're like, they don't accidentally come across it, I guess. Whereas
Yeah.
the shopping centers, I guess, is the idea that it's the opposite of that, that you will get just random people who have never heard of it will happen to walk past and call in.
Yeah, a couple of things. I think one was we asked a lot. We have a lot of localized athletes in Melbourne through functional fitness communities, and we got their feedback, and they all said, Chadston, if you're going to open something. So there was a lot of feedback, and then where our community is based in Melbourne. And I mean, if it's been interesting with COVID. There's like main streets in Melbourne where that used to be really like a shopping district. So like Chapel Street in Melbourne's kind of famous for like, there's gyms on the street, but it's kind of shifted now after learning that it's not so much for shopping anymore. Offices are going in there, and a lot of like kind of city kind of areas where would you go on a main street it's not as a thing as it used to be from what we've seen from kind of a post-COVID world. So it was probably it was more, Chadston's really, it's actually like, it's insane. It's a huge shopping center. They get 24 million people through there a year. And
Jeez.
It's insane. And it's such a cool center and a cool space. And I think it was like the excitement of being able to, because they don't just let any brand in either, like they want, for them to want us to be in there. And, we're actually next to Nike, which is super cool. There was a few things that had to line up, but there was a lot from listening to our community and asking questions, but also being able to go there. It's like, wow, like, it's almost like a big move to be able to go in there. But we still work with so many fitness communities as well. So we go out and do events. We actually have a team in Melbourne at the moment, like going around and doing events with local fitness communities and things like that. So, we still localize ourselves, but that's kind of our hub there as well. So who knows, we may open one in Sydney as well. It's, but that's just the first one.
Are you nervous about it? Like, are you nervous about opening an offsite kind of store? Is that like something that scares you? Or I guess if you like adrenaline, it's probably good.
Yeah. One of our values is move fast, break shit. So, we're just moving fast, but yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I mean, we're probably going to make some mistakes, to be honest. And, there's a lot to learn in terms of fulfillment. We have to ship from our HQ to store and, stock replen. And if I look at Chadston, they're actually open 95 hours a week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're actually open till 9 p.m. Yeah, which is crazy. So, there's a lot for us to learn. We have an amazing team. I mean, and I think that, it's like anything when you're trying something new, you've got to go in with, it's new and you've got to learn. Lucky, I think the experience we're learning from our HQ store, and, we have a great team. We've got a new head of retail who's amazing, Bianca. And we're just, and some of the team of, quite a few of our team here have got a lot of retail experience. So that's really good. Like quite a few actually. So it's actually kind of been great to learn from them as well. Am I nervous? I mean, it's like doing anything new. It's exciting. It's nervous. You're nervous. All of the above. It's like coming into an event, right? You kind of, if you're not nervous, you kind of don't care, I suppose.
Yeah.
Feeling. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually going down there this weekend to see it. It's all boarded up and they've started working on it. So I'm going down this weekend to see it.
That's cool.
Check it out. And then the opening is actually on the 1st of October, and there's the Melbourne Marathon. So I think there's a few of us going to run the marathon the next day while we're down there. So only the half, but not the full. But yeah, just to be a part of it. So,
would you ever do that like secret boss thing? Would you ever like wear like Nike and like just walk in and browse and just see like what the experience is like from the other side in your own shop?
I didn't think of that. No, I don't know. They're probably like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I just, because see, you're someone that like you strike me as kind of like unassuming. Like I feel like someone could easily like bump into you in the shop and not realize who you are. You're not going around in like a suit with a briefcase, or you're not like, you're not like, you don't strike me as a point and shout kind of person. So I think like if someone was working, if I was working in the shop, if I was working in the store and you walked in, I wouldn't be like, oh fuck, it's the owner. I just be like, oh, who's this guy? He obviously really likes the brand. He's wearing a lot of it. I'm going to sell him some stuff. Like so it'd be pretty easy to do.
Well, I'm a part of the community too. I mean, Well, I mean, I'll be going down there a lot to work with them, and even help out in store to learn. To be honest, we'll be flying our team up that we've recruited, part of the team and our store coach, and they'll be coming up here and working in, they'll be working in our fulfillment center and customer support. Like they'll really get that experience. I'll be working close with them because I want to learn. The best thing about our opening, especially our first store in Melbourne and anywhere if we open a store, is we get to learn from the community and get feedback and to be better. So, if anything, they're some of the most important team members on the ground because they're in front of the community every day. So I won't be hiding. I'll be, they'll probably get sick of me because I'll be asking them questions, how we can be better, to be honest.
You said earlier on, so you said that when you changed, so you used to be like LKI, back like 2012.
It was 2007 it was 2007 from 2018, and I finished my apprenticeship in 2010 and went full time. So
okay, did you finish your apprenticeship or leave your apprenticeship?
So I was already about 2 years into my apprenticeship, and then in 2007 I was like, I want this brand to be my career, so that's where it was Loose Kid, and then we turned it to LKI, the abbreviation of Loose Kid Industries, in 2007. And I was actually trying to find like how to make t-shirts, and the shirt I was wearing on the job site was this brand called Guild, and I was like, this is a pretty good t-shirt. So I Googled the place and was like, oh, cool. Let's do these t-shirts. And I actually ordered 1,000. And I actually used my mom's credit card. She helped me out. She was a legend. I paid her back, but she was a legend. And we bought 1,000 t-shirts, and I was selling them. We did a bunch of prints, and that's where we started, from my mom's bedroom, and she was shipping orders for me. And we were just kind of building the brand at events, and I was driving around to retail stores. And then in 2009, I actually went part-time to finish my apprenticeship. So I actually ended up roofing and like laying roofs for 6 months. I kind of did a bunch of different jobs just to finish my apprenticeship. So I was working, say, 3 days on a job site and then 2 days LKI in 2009. And then in 2010, I finished my apprenticeship, like literally finished my apprenticeship, and said, all right, I'm not going back. I'm just going to go back to another first year apprenticeship and do LKI full time. And then we moved from my mom's bedroom and pretty much the whole house. And we had 3 20-foot containers at my mom's place full of stock. So then we moved that to this like kind of 450 square meter office in 2010. And there was about 3 team members then. And to be honest, on a lot of someone was part time. It
wasn't just a really short person. It was like
but yeah.
God, your mom must be so patient. Fucking hell, I'd be like, get out. Like I'd be like, no, like first get out of my room, and then like get those fucking shipping containers out of here. Like she must be really patient.
Yeah, she was a legend. She loved it. I mean, yeah, she was cool. She's no longer working the brand now, but she was a huge part of the brand in the early days, and a massive help. And it was kind of fun. I mean, we would be going to the races on weekend, racing motocross, and we'd sell at the track, and just the grassroots, and it was fun, and we were just. To be honest, I didn't really know why I was doing it. I was just doing it because I wanted it to be my career. Like, it was never about making money. I just loved doing it. And it was pre-social media, it was magazines. Yeah. So I was working with magazines, and I built relationships with editors of magazines, and, I ended up testing bikes for them, and I'd have a sticker on my helmet. I mean, we don't even make stickers anymore, but I'd have a sticker on my helmet to get free branding because we didn't have enough money to do heaps of magazine ads. So we'd only be able to do maybe one every 2 months in a magazine. And just had to learn and built great relationships over the years. And everything we kind of did was always about long-term though. Like, we still have relationships today with, community or, people I got to work with back then, which I think has really helped us in, today as we're growing really fast. So it's crazy to look back at it, to be honest.
So you said, when you moved to LSKD from LKI, I guess I have a couple of questions about that. Like rebrands always interest me because I'm kind of like, it can't be easy. Like, it can't be easy to move away from something that's become comfortable and that's become like familiar, and that is you like there's a fear of like, oh god, like I remember I changed my logo and I was like terrified that like it's so stupid when you like say it out
Yeah.
loud or when you think about it after the fact, but I was like, oh, what if nobody recognizes like what if nobody knows what it is anymore? And it's kind of like, you're a fucking idiot, it's actually clearer now than at start. But like there is that thing of like it's like a divorce or something where you're kind of like you kind of separate things, you have to leave things behind, and like you kind of nearly need to like, I found anyway that I was filled with like angst about like, oh, what if this is wrong, like what if this is the wrong thing, and this is like nothing compared to like an actual physical brand that employs people and like that, like pays mortgages and stuff, like where you're kind of like was there angst, was there like fear of like, what if this is a mistake, like what, like maybe we should stick to what we know, or like because I guess I heard you talk about how it was that you were confused, you were afraid of confusing people with different logos and stuff, and that there was like two different names or two different logos, but like I suppose the safe thing to do there is to revert and to just be like, okay, forget about it. We'll just do LKI because that's what people know. So what was it that pushed you to be like, oh fuck it, we'll just change everything?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, so I'll try and do it in the short version because it was actually, there's so many factors to it. And I mean, in early days, I didn't know a lot about like a brand and kind of like in terms of like we just did everything for everyone. So we would make life jackets, motocross gloves, socks. We would sell to so many different. We'd make some sportswear. We made some street. We made kind of everything that down to key rings and whatever kind of retailers wanted to buy from us, we would make because we really just wanted to have a job. Like I just wanted it to be my career. I loved it, and I didn't know that doing all those products took a lot of time, which then sold to all different retailers, which kind of segmented us into like a certain way as a brand. So I kind of pushed LKI down a brand avenue that was kind of a bit of everything to everyone. It was almost a bit confusing. And funny enough, our head of design now, he started with me as straight out of university, and he's now our head of design, Dylan. He actually designed this logo, LSKD, back in 2015, and we started placing it on the products around 2016. And it was funny. It was like, oh, its mock-up looks really cool. Like we put the LKI logo next to the LSKD logo, and our community started buying LSKD over LKI because eventually it was just LSKD on tees with a little LKI, and that started out selling the LKI product. And then through that journey, I mean, I really started to, because we were a wholesale, we were developing product for what the retailers wanted. And I kind of got to the point when, we really weren't trying to, back then it was like, oh, we'd love sportswear, but we didn't want to, we're like, it's everyone does sportswear. Let's not, we can't be a sportswear brand. But it was almost like it rang true when I was like, let's develop product for our community and let's develop the best tights in the world for our community and spend time on that. And through that transition period, we were in wholesale accounts. A lot of them were starting to make their own brands. So it wasn't doing that well. They were starting to decline with us in placing orders. And I started to see things changing in the market. And I was like, why do they keep doing this? Like we work so hard as a brand and support athletes, events, but they just make their own products. So I kind of was in this weird like journey of like, and okay, well, like you said, like I was like, holy shit, if I change this thing, it could go bad. But if I go out and get as much feedback as possible from product development to logo, and I literally was just grassroots, just going and asking our team, I was going asking athletes, I was going to ask the community, and I was just showing them both logos. I was like, which one do you like better? And they were like LSKD. And I'm like, fuck, this ain't my decision. Like, I'm going to make this decision based on what the community wants. Like, this is not Jason's decision. Everyone keeps pointing at LSKD. There's something special here. And so, yeah, it got to the point where, we were quite small then. And we actually didn't even have enough money to stop making, like, as in just, go, okay, well, let's swap the product out. We still had LKI product out there in 2019 because we had to slowly transition the brand, but we changed our logo. We changed our website. We went to lskd.co. We couldn't even take .com because it was, it was quite expensive. We own it now, but then it was like, we couldn't even afford to pay for it. So we're like, .co it is. but it was all feedback from the community. And I think when we changed it, I really, part of that journey was to rebuild our mission, because I'm like, we need to stand for something. It was develop product for the athlete. And we developed this pair of leggings called the Rep Type, and it's still our #1 seller today. And we really spent time developing it off feedback, our own fabric, the Rep fabric, and really wanted to create a product for the everyday athlete, essentially, that they could train at a high performance, but it had a street aesthetic. And it was just kind of all came together. And then we released our Rep Tide in 2019 in July, and it sold out. And to be honest, we hadn't been able to keep up with stock since, because the word of mouth grew. And it was just really special. I mean, it was a risk, and I was really nervous. A lot of people doubted me doing it. But then when the team, and we had about a team of 10 to 12 then, were like, we got to do this. Like, I believe in it too. It was this kind of beautiful thing that happened, that the team believed in it. So it kind of became authentic, and everyone was behind it as well. It wasn't like it was my decision. It was a group decision. And we really, part of that is I really wanted to rebuild our culture. I mean, I don't think we had the best culture, coming from a job site environment. I had to learn a lot. I made a shit ton of mistakes. So part of that was like, to rebuild our culture, we needed it. The mission of inspiring people to chase the vibe had to happen internally first before we bled it out externally. So we kind of just took these slow steps, and, it's like crawl, walk, run, like we just took these steps and said, like, let's just get to work. Like, let's slowly build this. When we're signing athletes, let's be very considered on the athletes we sign. They have to align to the mission and values. Like, that's just as important, the relationship. Not that we didn't do that with LKI, but we were just kind of willing, kind of just sponsor everyone. And it was just all these learnings from LKI that we applied into LSKD of going, let's actually do this a little bit different. So it was a million things put together, and a real deep thought process behind why we were doing it. And every time we did something, we were like, why are we doing it? Like, what's the why? Like, because if we want to build something that's bigger than ourselves and, going to last for 50 plus years, that's really inspiring, and, develop future CEOs, let's like ask why about everything and really take it slow. And it's been really special to watch, to be honest. It honestly inspires me, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. Like, wow, look what we've created, and look what's possible for our brand in the next 20, 30, 40 years globally if we stay true to our mission and values. So it don't get me wrong, it was nerve-wracking. I just had my first child, so Hendrix was born in March 2018, and which was probably part of the shift too. I've become a dad, and life's real now. I've got someone that I have to put food on the table for. And then we changed the brand in September 2018. And, there was tough periods. Like, there was some weeks, when being in wholesale and with LKI, like, I couldn't pay myself some weeks to make sure we paid the team. Like, it was hard. Like, there wasn't, we were a lot smaller, making sure retailers paid you on time was hard. There was weeks I didn't pay myself because I made sure the team was paid. But I was like, you know what, if we do this right with LSKD, this is going to be something special. And then that probably ties into, our CFO, who started a day a week in August 2018. I had a government grant that paid for him to pay for half his bill because we couldn't afford him. And now he's, Matt, our CFO, is amazing. So he got to be a part of that journey as well, unintentionally, who really kind of helped me learn a lot about, what a P&L looks like, cash flow forecasting, planning, to make sure we can self-fund and grow the brand. So all these little things kind of came together with a deep thought process that allowed me to learn more. But knowing that I didn't know everything, we had an amazing team that, they had great ideas that we implemented as well. So it just, I stopped thinking I needed to know everything through it and just started listening to, the team and getting their feedback. And I was probably a bit too passionate. So I was just stuck in my own head sometimes. So yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was crazy. It's crazy to look back. Like, it was only 3 years ago, really. Like, it's 4 years September, but we started growing quite quickly pre-COVID, actually. So yeah, it's been about 3 years, which is really inspiring. It is. It's crazy. I'm very thankful.
How many? So you said that you had two and a half team members, and then you had like 10 or 12. How many is there now? Do you know?
I think it's about we're over 100 with our casual team. It's about 67 full-time team members now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and we fulfill all our orders from our HQ in our fulfillment center. So we have about a 3,000 square meter fulfillment center that we
And
built out all.
what about like global? Like, because obviously now with, you've signed like say Matt DeLugos and like Annika Greer and Khan, and like there's obviously there's an American market there that needs to be considered, and there's like obviously there's like a huge Irish market. I've mentioned how big the country is. But is that putting pressure on you to, or do you already have like say fulfillment centers in other continents as well, or is will you be able to do all of that from Australia?
Yeah, so for the moment, we're still shipping from Australia at the moment and focus more on building the brand. But we will eventually, have a fulfillment center in the US, whether we 3PL. But for the moment, we've tried to keep it as simple as possible. While we build the community and the brand, and we have a team of 3 in the US now, based out of San Diego. We have a van. We have this Mercedes Sprinter van that's like decked out like a store that goes around the gyms and events, and yeah, it's super cool. So we're going to Zello Games in November with the van, and I actually won't make it, but the team will. Brad and Ellie will be there, and so we have a team over there now actually building the community. So, but knowing America is so big, it's like we've got to really build the community and share the story, and it's going to take time, and that's, to me, it's realizing what we did here. We want to do the same thing, but we have to learn as well. So yeah, we're trying to keep it simple, but I'm excited. I've been over there twice already in the last 6 months, and it's I'll probably be over there a lot more. I'm hopefully moving over there maybe in July next year with the family for a few months and work in San Diego, and yeah, so it's cool. We we have a great team here, so it's just trying to be over there as much as possible to build the community as well.
You talked about, so like chase the vibe is kind of the short form of the motto, I suppose, of the company. Like that's what the belief system is based around, I guess. I was curious, like when you pick, so like my first experience of the brand was through Khan. So I saw Khan wearing a jumper, and I was like, oh, that's a cool jumper. And then I was like, I bought the jumper kind of to support Khan, because he was like, oh, I've signed up. And I was like, I have never heard of this brand before. I've never heard of them in CrossFit. So I was like, in my head, I was like, I'll buy a jumper, and then that will support their venture into CrossFit and support Khan, and then everything will be successful with this one purchase. But I had never heard of it before. I'd never like seen it before. And I guess that's the purpose of picking someone. Like that's the purpose of, say, Khan, is on the one hand, you get to support him and help him do what he's trying to do and achieve what he's trying to achieve. But on the other hand, it gets people like me who otherwise would never have had the experience of the brand to be like, oh, what's this? Like, that's what you want, is the curiosity of people to be like, oh, what's this? And to go and look, and then hopefully it resonates with them, and then they become a member of your community, or at the very least a customer. How do you pick like say the 3 that I know of so far are like Khan, Matt, and Annika, have been like announced or whatever as like LSKD athletes. But how do you pick, like, what do you look for, or how do you decide what it is that you want? Because obviously it's difficult to embody that. It's difficult to embody the mission of a company when you haven't been previously aligned with them. So like, what is it in those people that you saw, or that you liked?
I mean, if I think like CrossFit community, my buddies have a box in his house. I used to train, do Murph every year. Like, I've been a part of that community a fair bit back in Australia. So, and we worked with a lot of local CrossFit boxes. EXF is around the corner. Urban is just up the road. They were both at the games. They come and train in our gym. So when it kind of started, from a Khan perspective, it was really authentic. And if I look at Khan, we actually got on a call with him. I think it was, I can't remember the time difference, because it was like the timing difference was similar time. So I think it was either late in the afternoon for us to get his timing right, or it was like 7 o'clock at night our time. And we all got on a call with Khan, and to be honest, just wanted to learn about him and his story. It wasn't like, hey, can you post this on Instagram? It was more like, hey, we want to find athletes that align to our mission and values, and share our brand story, and who we are as a brand, share our mission, share our values. We we talk more about the brand itself over what we want to do as a brand, because I think that's really important, and engage with the athlete if they, if they like it, because I think it's got to be that synergy together, that if they like what we're doing and what we're, trying to create something bigger than ourselves, then you can tell there's that synergy there. And then I think there's obviously the aesthetic side where, Khan is just, I actually, the first time I met Khan on Zoom, and then I met him at the games, he actually was picking up his girlfriend at the airport. And I'm like, that's how we met him. So he drove us to our car. We actually didn't catch up when we got to the game. So it was quite funny. And he's a legend. And it just, the synergies were there. And I think that's the same, with Annika. And I actually haven't met Matt yet, Ludos. Like, I actually haven't met him yet. The team has. So we work so hard behind the scenes on like the ethos of our brand. I don't actually get to meet them all. And that's part of the goal, is I want to meet them all. And I think, because I know that it's so important as a brand, but I think it's I don't know, there's that synergy there. And then our product with sportswear, with a street aesthetic. And to be honest, we don't force it. Like, we'll build the relationship first. We may even gift an athlete, see what they think of the product. For us, it's not, working with so many athletes in the early days in, say, 2008, 9 and 10, and working with pro motocross athletes. And, we didn't have any money back then. Like, we were able to sponsor one of the best in Australia. It was a real relationship. When we sponsored that athlete, they really liked what we were doing. And I got to learn a lot from that it was really important to have a relationship with them. And then to the point of like, how do we help them on their journey? How do we share their story? Khan's, when he gets back to Australia, we're sending him on like a lift and learn tour to go around and share, not only throw down sessions and lift and learn, but also talk about mental health and, go to different, CrossFit boxes to talk about that. And, we want to help build Khan's brand just as much as Khan's helping build our community and brand. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of thought that goes behind it, but I think there's got to be that synergy that you can really feel together. Like, I think it's really important. It's a hard thing to explain, to be honest, because it's every athlete's different, and how do you support them on their journey? I think is really important.
But I think that's the fact that it is difficult to explain is good, because I think there's some. Sometimes you see, so the brand I think that you guys most align with is Rad, like the footwear company, Ben's company.
I met Ben in games. He's a legend.
He's
a really cool guy.
Fantastic. He's fantastic. But he like picked Laura and Danielle, and I've heard Danielle talk about how he essentially had a PowerPoint on his phone to show her like why she should work with them, like what they can do for her, and what the purpose of what they're doing and everything else. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, because I guess when you're a brand, the easy thing to do is be like, right, who's the most successful, or who's the most famous, or and then you just pick that person. And you see that with other brands where there's kind of no, I guess, cohesion of there's no thread. Like, you can't, apart from like successful athletes, there's no thread running through the people that they have. But the fact that it's difficult for you to explain how you've picked who you've picked is testament to the fact that the way that you're picking the people that you've picked is the right way to do it. And even when you look at like, so I've interviewed the three of them. I consider myself friends with Khan. I don't know if he would, but I would. And like Matt.
Me too. I don't know if he'd be that.
Yeah,
so
he's probably like, Jason and Peter who? Whereas we're like, oh yeah, we're mates. We go way back. But yeah, like, and Matt, like, Matt is just like, he's great. He's so good. Like, he's such a good guy. Like, he's so good.
I actually can't wait to meet him, to be honest. The team's been working with him.
Yeah, like, that's one of my favorite interviews I think I've ever done is with him. I just like, he's such a nice guy. But when he was announced, well, like, I saw him starting to get some stuff, and I was like, oh, hello. I was like, is he gonna become an LSKD athlete? But like, to the outside observer, you look at Khan and you look at the brand and you think, yeah, makes sense. Like, Khan's very well known in the sport. He's very well known online. And you look at Matt, and when he's announced, and this is no disrespect to Matt, but when he's announced, you're kind of like, oh, like, it's out of left field as far as like really well known athletes go. But then straight away you're like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, there's no like, oh, that's weird. It's a surprise. It's a pleasant surprise that he's part of LSKD, but it also makes immediate sense. And the same with Annika. It's more left field. Like, there's more mainstream people you could pick, but the people that you've picked straight away, you're like, that makes absolute sense. Like, how did I not see that link before it was announced? Like, it's an obvious choice. But I think it's just great that you're picking people that aren't maybe haven't been afforded the opportunities yet that some of the bigger athletes that you could have picked, that you could have just said like, oh, let's look at the top 10 and just throw a dart and be like, fuck it, this
Yeah.
person will do. They're famous. They're good at the sport. They're going to
Yeah.
be in the top, whatever. Like, I think it's a great way of doing it. And I think that the fact that you're struggling to nail down a formula for it speaks volumes about the fact that it is an organic process and not just a, that there's someone looking on Instagram being like, hey, these have 200,000 followers. We just pick them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. And I think that's what makes it special for long term. I think if, because for us to, I'm not going to say like I'm actually personally learning the CrossFit community to another level as well. And me being able to be at the games and experience that and meet so many different managers and athletes was just a very cool experience, just being a part of that and just sitting in the stands watching. And I think for us as a brand, we want to build into the community. We don't, for us, it takes time. You got to build trust with the community. You got to build into it. It's not about signing every athlete. I think it's getting the right ones. And as you said, to articulate it, it's tough. And we want to sign athletes that we can help storytell them, but they're also doing the same thing. And yeah, it is. It's a tough one. And I appreciate you saying that because it is hard to articulate because we talk about it a lot in the office and, it's something we're constantly talking about because it's, we're so passionate about, thinking of it really long term too. It's not something we want to just, like you said, it's like, yep, grab them, cool, but whatever happens in a year, don't worry about it. It's, and don't get me wrong, like we've made mistakes before, like but when you do make mistakes, you just get better and learn and go, hang on, why would we do that? I didn't realize that. Okay, cool. Like let's see where we went wrong if we made a mistake, and not just even from an athlete's perspective, because this has been a LKI days. I was able to sponsor athletes as well, but you get to learn even in business aspects. We make mistakes, on the day to day of things go wrong with certain shipment or product or things happen. You spell something wrong, you spell an EDM wrong, like that happens. Well, we learn from that. We're human, and we let our community know we're sorry, and we've learned. We're learning too. So, yeah, it is. It is a special thing, and I mean, and I'm actually super excited to like see where we can grow with the CrossFit community. But it's not about just like you said, just hey, who knows in the future we might have a top 10, top 5 athlete. But at the same time, it's not something I think you can rush. I think it takes time.
Well, it's more enjoyable as well if Matt becomes a top 5 athlete rather than he's a top 5 athlete and then you approach him. It's more, you're in on the
you
ground
help develop them.
Yeah.
Who knows? I might go until next year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think if he does, I think he'd do pretty good. If he does, from what I've heard. Is there have you other irons in the fire? Are you like, is there other athletes or other people that you're kind of like courting or I don't know what the phrase you'd use to describe it?
Oh yeah, you got any suggestions?
I do have one. Maybe I'll tell you off air. But yeah, I do actually have one.
Put you on the spot. I'll just put you on the spot. There is a couple, but I'll just put you on the spot.
I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, there is. I mean, and to be honest, we're learning, and I mean, even just being able to go to the CrossFit Games and be a part of it and learn and watch different athletes. I mean, I was probably more inspired. I've actually come back and trained like in the gym even harder since coming back from there because I'm like, man, it was so sick.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to go train at EXF. They got 12. I think I got 12 at the games in team event. Their gym is not far from my house, so yeah, I'm actually going to go join Moses and his team and go train with them as well. That's so. Good. Yeah,
and you've got Brandon is doing he's doing his dad hours. He's doing like a little Father's Day. So he's doing like a Father's Day giveaway.
Yeah,
with you
yeah, he comes
guys.
in here and films in our gym. He was here a couple of Saturdays ago. I just missed him. I had to go help with the kids, but
Yeah,
he came in at 2 o'clock one afternoon, was filming. He's been meaning to come in and do a session, actually do a session like with the team, but he's just got to work out because obviously he's firefighting now, so he has to work out like
yeah.
timing.
He's
But
busy. He's busy being a hero.
yeah,
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 but
yeah.
he's a good guy. It's like it's crazy the pedigree that's in your local area is crazy of just
Oh,
like
well, James
athletes.
Newbury just
Mad.
moved to the Gold Coast, and we're meant to go training. Like he was gonna, I was in America, and he's like wanted to come catch up at the office. We'll go training, like go for a run together, because he obviously
Yeah.
getting a lot more into that side of things. But I was like, oh, I'm actually at the games while when you move
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Gold. He's not far from our office either. So we're actually starting a run club in the Gold Coast, LSKD Run Club every fortnight, and actually James is going to come along for a run. So
That's good.
yeah, it is crazy the caliber of athletes around here in the sport.
Um, is it difficult with like balancing different sports or different like I guess avenues of physical fitness? Because I know like say people who don't do or don't like CrossFit kind of turn their nose up at it. And the same can be said for people who do CrossFit and then look at like say functional fitness and be like, oh, why don't you just do you know, like there's kind of like a there's an overarching thing of people are just happy to be active, but there is within that there's little splits of like, you know, like tutting or eye rolling or whatever towards different things. Is that something that you've experienced, or is it something that you've managed to avoid? Like say when you announce a CrossFit athlete, is there pushback, or when you announce an F45
No,
athlete, is there pushback?
more. No, there wasn't actually. There was more, and to be honest, like no, and I think like for us, like you could say we're really into the functional fitness community, and whether you got CrossFit, and there's the crossover of like all different functional fitness community gyms, and then you've got like turf games. We're going to be at turf games on the Gold Coast coming up, and I know CrossFit athletes go to turf games, but I don't think so. And I think we just got to stay true to our mission and values, and at the end of the day, it's about trying to inspire our community to chase the vibe. I think like if that happens, I'm just like, well, I don't think we try to worry about it too much, because they may not be a part of our community. I think that sports are becoming so diverse now, and I personally believe functional fitness is still growing, and that includes CrossFit as well. Just in an opinion, and I think that athletes today, like if you did a certain sport, you still do other sports as well within that. And I think it's like it's like CrossFit. Like I love that I read that 100, or when you read the 100 words of fitness that CrossFit puts up, it's like cycle, swim, run, lift,
Yeah.
like body weights, like it's everything. Like the lunchtime session we did had snatches in it today. But it was a functional fitness workout. Like it had, with chin ups, and it was like 2 12-minute stations with like 80 reps of each. Like it was a tough 24-minute session. Like,
Yeah.
so I think, and we have one of our girls here, Bronte, who does CrossFit, and she's training for Down Under, but she's also doing turf games, and then she'll also run a marathon. So like, Vicky ran a marathon as well. Like, I think it's like, I feel like the community is multidiscipline.
Yeah.
And I think it's more around how do we inspire our community to chase the vibe. So I hope I made sense with that, but
No, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
real multidiscipline sport happening now. And I don't think we just make sure we stay true to the mission.
I usually finish with a quick fire, and I've kind of changed it a little bit for you. So it's not as quick a quick fire. What's your favorite LSKD product?
Interesting one. The rep shorts. I love the rep shorts. Massive fan. But we're starting to bring a lot more new products. Like we've been spending a lot of time on other products like that we've been working on. But I would say the rep shorts.
Okay. Are they the ones with the 2 zips with the 2 pockets?
Yeah, with the inner mesh gusset.
So I got a pair of them, and I was like, honestly, was so confused for like too long, like at least 4 minutes, which is too long. It should have taken like 20 seconds. But I had my car keys. I put my car keys in my pocket, And then I put my hand in my pocket to take out my car keys. And I was like, where the fuck are my car keys? And then I was like, I can feel them, but I can't touch them. I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I was like, then I was putting my hand in my other pocket, the other side. And I was like, no, they're definitely in this pocket. And I can feel the outline of the key. But why can't I physically touch the key? What's happening? And it was only then, like 3 days after I got the shorts, that I realized that there was a second pocket, that there was like 2 pockets touching
you
each
got the
other.
intensity shorts. There's a pocket at the back.
No, it's like in my hip pocket, there's like 2 pockets directly beside each other. So I can put my hand in my pocket like normal,
Oh,
but then there's a
yeah,
zip pocket in front of that pocket that I didn't know was
yeah, you
there.
got the competition shorts. You got the comp shorts.
Oh,
There's a second pocket there. Yeah, we have a
man, I
zip so
was,
you training.
oh, like
Yeah.
it's genius. I was like, this is so fucking clever. But I was like, it has taken me way too long to figure out. Like I was holding my key in my pocket, but I was like, why can't I touch it? What's happening? That I was like,
Yeah,
have they
yeah.
fallen? Is there a hole in the pocket? I just couldn't get it. Yeah.
I love that.
They're probably my favorite thing that I have is that was just, I was like, this is just genius that you can just put like loose change in your, nobody has change anymore, but you can put whatever in your pocket and zip it up and it's just fine, instead of like doing sit-ups and your keys are falling out or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I run sometimes, like if I'm by myself, and I'll have my phone in my pocket and
Yeah.
AirPods in, and I run with my phone in my pocket, and yeah, I can zip it up and know where it fall out. Like I don't always run with my phone, but I don't normally train with it because if I'm in the gym, but yeah, and I mean, we're starting to, we spend a lot of time on fabrics and fit and making sure it's developed for like high performance, but you can also wear it. So I mean, I wear them to the office almost every day. Rep shorts as well. So I wear it to the office, but I'll train in it. Like it's a kind of
Well, like I'm a teacher and I know that like, okay, I won't wear the shorts to work, but like all the stuff I've been sent, I'd easily just wear it. You know what I mean? Like it's a nice mix of like, you're not gonna, people aren't going to be like, oh, why is he wearing gym gear at work? Like I could, but I could easily just wear the LSKD stuff and it would just be like a t-shirt. It's not, but I could also simultaneously wear it to the gym, which is nice. It's a nice blend.
I love hearing that. That's the goal.
Yeah. Okay. Product that you'd love to make.
That we currently make.
No, that you would love to make. So maybe like, okay, let's look, you make like hats, you make t-shirts, you make sweatshirts, you make shorts, you make leggings, sports bras. Is there something out there that you'd be like, oh, that, like maybe it'd be a reach now, but like somewhere down the line, that, like a different thing you'd like to venture into?
Yeah, I don't think it's something I'd love to make. I think it's constantly improving as we develop like more and more new fabrics for our community that will like be other styles. So something I'm kind of really excited about is like with new fabrications we've got coming out of women's leggings and men's shorts and our developments of bras and that's, and it's probably not so much, we are kind of developing that. Like we don't want to go off and make shoes. Like we, really stay focused on our like products with women's leggings, men's shorts, our street styles. And, we're working on our jacketing as well, again, for next winter. So yeah, I probably would say it's more like just keep getting better and keep taking feedback to get better at our like products. And we're developing quite a few new fits at the moment for 2023, which is super exciting. So yeah, I think it's, learning from LKI days is I just kind of got excited and made everything, even down to a life vest, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. Like, let's like focus on product for our community. But, to say people are like, you're going to make shoes. And I'm like, no. Like we don't want to make shoes. Like that's a whole category that, we don't, let's stay focused on sportswear, like try and be the best for our community there. So yeah, it's a tough one to answer because I don't think so right now.
Okay. Your proudest moment as the owner of the company?
Oh, I would say seeing the transition from LK to LSKD and seeing what's happening with our brand and our team and, the mission and the values and what we're creating. I think it's, I've been very proud to watch what we're creating.
Most difficult?
I mean, there's a lot difficult moments. I think sometimes, the journey can get quite lonely sometimes, because you're constantly trying to be 1% better. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. There's a lot. I mean, Probably when we were going through the transition of LKI to LSKD, I had a lot of deep thought behind the why and a lot of books and try to understand. And it was, it was quite a tough period because, like you said, it didn't know if we didn't know if it was going to work. It was like, wow, we're going to change this whole thing. So I think that would be probably some of the most difficult times that I went through, but also some of the most proudest times.
But even like having a kid as well, like fucking hell, I can't imagine making like a massive change. And then like there's also massive changes at home. Like usually one is like respite for the other. Like if work is really stressful, you go home and it's calm. Or if there's big change at home, you go to work and you're away from the change or whatever. So like you just burn it at both ends. Well, listen, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
Been
you.
great. It's been great to chat to you. I think I admire the brand so much. I think, like I say, the athletes that you've picked, like just purely from a CrossFit perspective, the athletes that you picked are like, they're so deserving of the support that they're getting, and it's great to see. And I think it tells you all you need to know about the brand, the people that have been picked as well. I think it's like I say, you see a person, you're like, that makes total sense. So yeah, keep pushing ahead, and I look forward to seeing more and more of you around at all the different events. And I'm actually going to Wadapalooza as well, so I'll get to see you there.
Hopefully we're hanging out at the booth. I heard.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's I'm stoked to be on the show. So thank you.